Hello. Hi, guys. Good to see everybody again. Good to be back at RESO. For those of you that don't know me, I am Rick Herrera, Vice President of Technology for Constellation Data Labs. Joining me is John Flaig, who's a Manager of Operations. All of the listing updates, all the data mapping, all that kind of stuff is actually run by John.
Yeah, I've managed MLS data aggregations for Constellation Data Labs, and I've been working with MLS data for about 25 years now. So I guess if there's any MLS vendor support people out there, you probably know me, maybe even as a personal pain point. But we're very excited to be here and talk about streaming today.
So I'm going to start us off here. A little audience participation, kind of make sure people are still awake. So I need some interesting facts about sharks. Just say it out loud. Never stop swimming. I heard an interesting one. I did a dry run of this, and someone said, they tend to think humans are seals. And I thought, well, that's an interesting perspective. But sharks always have to keep swimming. They always have to keep moving forward. And so do we as an industry. We need to continue to advance, modernize, and grow. It's a super competitive market out there. We had Nina and Joe up on stage earlier today, and they were talking about how an agent wants to enter a listing and then turn around and go right into their marketing platform. They want to go right into Canva and continue the operation of getting things marketed, getting things done. And when there's large lags and delays in time in getting this accomplished, then it creates a problem, right? You have to context switch. I got to wait 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour before I can move forward. Then that creates a problem for them. With AI, on-demand tools, there's never been a bigger push for real-time data that's complete, that's accurate, and that can be delivered as quickly as possible. And from a technical perspective, right, we're at a RESO event. We've actually largely solved all of these problems already. So do me a favor, one more audience bit here. If you've ever participated in a work group, right, data dictionary, transport, if you've ever been part of a work group, please raise your hand. Look at all that. Most people have their hands up. So I know when I host Pain Points later, you are capable of raising your hands, so I got that now. But aside from that, you guys have largely helped create the standards that we need to solve these problems. We have a dictionary that has a common definition, data types, all of that. We have a common schema. With RESO common format, we have the payload, we have the shape of the data that you can programmatically work through to automate working with listing data, with MLS data. And then we did entity event, which helps you identify if something's new, if it's an ad, if a change has occurred, if you need to delete something, and be able to play that back. So the standards are largely there. We're just not necessarily using them to their fullest potential. I think you guys know how I feel about polling, because I've been up here before and harped on this topic a little bit. About a year and a half ago, I got up on stage and I said, hey, we have better ways to do this. There's a demand for real-time data. Let's move away from polling and this antiquated model. We can do better than this. And so I demonstrated how we could use webhooks, and we've been using it in production with customers for about a year and a half now, and I've learned a lot. It did solve some of our key problems, right? It is close to real time. It's event-driven. If I find something out, I can produce a notification, and then that actually lets somebody know, okay, I need to go to my API and go pull the data and pull the listings. But it also has its challenges. One of the things we commonly heard was, why don't you just give me the data? Give me the payload. Because if I have the data, I can just go through everything. Instead, I have to develop a listener, and I still have to support the API. I still have to have all that technology. It's almost like I have two aggregation systems, and I'd kind of prefer not to. It did solve the chattiness, but it created a different problem. And then when we do get the big, massive updates, and we know they happen, 1 million records, 2 million records, it doesn't handle that particularly well, and it can become a problem. And so I say, well, what if we just push this forward a little bit further? And so I want to talk about streaming. Streaming tends to check all the boxes. If we actually go straight to a streaming model, you have full real-time event. The second we get data, boom, instantly transfers over to your account. Complete, payload, data. What's the shape going to look like? RESO common format, of course. It's going to be RESO standards. Setup is super easy. We'll talk about that in a second. And the resiliency of it is incredible. It's amazing. The need to do syncs, and if you work with MLS data every day, you always are doing syncs, pretty much eliminated. And if all that's true, then I would argue we don't necessarily need this anymore. I know we just talked about the big award and going platinum, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done. Rob will vouch for me, I was part of the team that helped create the data dictionary from day zero, and so I'm really proud of the work we've done. But we have to keep moving forward. There are better ways, and we can solve it. Streaming is nothing more than continuous movement of data rather than batching, loading, a schedule, polling. Just move the data straight through. Right? Originally developed by LinkedIn. When they were growing their platform, they had millions of messages, and they needed a good way to solve for it. It was intentionally developed to handle the transfer of real-time data, and it does it really well at scale.
So how does that work with MLS data and RESO standards? Today, as I mentioned earlier, it's about a 60-40 split between Web API and RETS. And so at Constellation Data Labs, it's our usual aggregation pipeline, ETL, with the output being RESO 2.0 data. And then that's where we have a branch between our OData API and streaming. So we're in AWS, and so the obvious choice was MSK or Apache Kafka. And you have it's a producer, consumer, subscriber model. You have topics, and the topic is essentially a collection of events ordered and grouped in some way. In this example, we're doing it by customer. You can do it by MLS, by resource, any kind of combination you can think of. And the consumer, using AWS as an example, will set up a bucket in S3 where we stream the data. The messages are written there, numerically named with the message ID that increments. And if we open up one of these, we can see RESO entity event and RESO data dictionary to data. Now this is the full payload. We're sending the entire listing, but we do have the option that we're planning to just send a differential for a very light payload. So now you have the data streamed into your environment, and all you need to do is load it into your production data store, whether that's SQL or Elastic or what have you. To get a little more specific on how we set this up, our customer will designate an S3 path in the AWS, create a security policy, and provide that information to us. And we set up a topic for them and go. And bam, you have RESO standard entity event replication directly in your environment now. And specifically with onboarding, how we have it is 2 buckets. There's an initial load, which is your full snapshot, and then an entity event folder, which is essentially your incrementals, your deltas. The customer would consume everything in the entity event folder, and paying attention to the entity event sequence ID, which tells you where you are in the data. So once you've consumed the initial load, you're looking at the highest entity event sequence ID, adding 1, and then that's where you would start from the entity events bucket. So on a daily basis, your deltas, your incrementals are coming from that entity event bucket. We have an entity event type, so add, update, delete. That's rather self-explanatory. But where streaming really shines is, as Rick had stated earlier, with reconciliation or keeping yourself in sync with the MLS source system. So with RETS, with Web API, it's a constant concern always, am I in sync with the MLS? Do I have the data that I'm supposed to have? We run syncs multiple times a day. It's overhead, process, worry, concern. All of that goes out the window. It's a totally different paradigm now, where the nature of streaming is such that even after what happened yesterday with AWS, for instance, it will correct itself. It will stream to the consumer where it left off. The other great benefit with streaming, of course, is because it's log-based, it's not queue-based. There's a full history of every data change over the lifetime of a listing transaction. So you have full historical data that you can play back. For instance, if you wanted to see every single price change, you can. Currently, you're only seeing the data whenever you pull it. So whatever frequency that is, that it's a bit like Schrodinger's cat.
All right, so that's those are your basics. Key benefits, reason I'm here and I'm promoting streaming. I think we're checking all the boxes here. You've got the ability to do playback, as he just mentioned. You have true real-time updates. You've actually reduced a lot of the burdens that you had as far as stability, reconciliation, authentication. You set up authentication once at the very beginning, create the handshake, no more tokens. Oh, my token expired. Do I create a new token? Done. Set it at the beginning, you have a pipe, data flows. And we're doing it all with the standards you helped create. So last slide. You know, with me, this slide's always going to be there. I'm here just kind of as a technologist. I'm here to show, like, these are things you can do. And I can solve part of the problem. As a producer, I talk to 500 plus MLSs, and we have brokers, franchises, prop tech companies we send data to. I can solve that second half. But I need you guys, and the industry needs you guys, the MLSs, the vendors, to advance and to do this and to move forward as well. And I got to say, I know certain vendors, you charge a premium for certain access to increase speeds, to have more data. I mean, I would say you have a product offering right here as well. And so with that, I want to thank everybody. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys at Pain Points. Thanks.
Thank you.